Hello, and welcome to another episode of TDB.
4:15.
Yeah, episode 2 of Post Sichuan. Not sure how long we'll last here. Okay,
Wow.
We are doing some aged Oolong from 1987. So like the rest of us, this tea is getting older and older and older and older. And this one says version number 2. I believe this is probably an aged Baozhong, if it is coming from Sammy over at Everlasting, who's a good guy and always seems to have some pretty decent quality aged Oolongs.
Yeah, shout out to him. It's always been awesome. Treated me and my family really well. Referred to quite a few family members over to him.
Nice.
Yeah, yum. So, and this is already just, so different looking. The color, just how brown and aged the actual leaves are. So these are 35-year-old leaves.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. That's just a testament to a really long project. Not that Sammy's been doing it for 35 years, but
Right.
this is pretty crazy.
For sure.
The color on that already. Actually, really clean looking. Wow. All right, this will be our rinse because we're rich over here at TDB.
That's my pinky finger.
Yeah, let me give this a sniff.
Sure. Smells nice.
Smells aged.
Yeah. A little woody and a little fruity.
Yeah.
Little leather.
We're gonna go hard on this guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's old.
And I mean, teas like this generally are pretty forgiving. The one thing you are going to want to watch out for is if they did catch some humidity, they can turn a bit sour, and that's kind of the off note you're going to get if these were not quite 100% correctly stored.
Yeah, but I think truth be told, at least at Everlasting, I don't think they would sell that, frankly.
If it's too sour,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's always a mixture of like pushing the leaves, but
Sure.
Yeah.
High pour so we don't burn the absolute crap out of ourselves. And yeah, smells awesome. I'm getting, anyway, I'll save it until we start drinking, and then I'll go to my typical spiel. Here we go. Cheers.
One thing you guys don't know about Denny before he does his typical spiel is when we do any tea over 30 years old, he just grabs a dictionary and starts finding exactly the words that he wants to cover. And he's got like 20 of them. He's just ready to go. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you, Denny. You got this. You got this, bro.
Oh, no. Oh, God. So it's thin, wonderful sweetness at the end of it. It's got a really nice mineraliness up front. It does have those traditional aged kind of garden flavors, definitely. Little hint of some sort of tartness too. Really nice.
It's almost a little minty for me, oddly enough. Not a flavor I usually pick up on.
Yeah.
Could be the supply food.
I get a bit more of springtime fresh garden smells, fresh growth, the green stems coming out of your flower bed.
Okay.
For all of the audience with flowers.
Are you garden nerds out there?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, I mean, in that sense, we're maybe drinking this appropriate time of year, as we are in spring or almost in spring.
I think we're in spring.
Right on.
Looks great. Nice big fluffy leaves, uniform. Yeah. So, James, this is a very aged tea compared to a typical Baozhong tea. How are these going to compare? Are they close together? Are you noticing them being similar?
I think it's pretty different. I mean, they're obviously grown often in the same area. Sammy especially, I don't know where this is grown, but I assume Pinglan in Taiwan, that's where they grow a lot of Baozhong in Taiwan. That's where they did 30, 5 years ago, and that's where they still grow a fair amount.
Yeah.
But the processing techniques of it have changed a bit, so I do think that these older Baozhongs probably used to be more roasty when they were younger.
Sure.
At least that's my understanding of it. But they're pretty darn different. I mean, the aging impacts it, and obviously that initial processing too.
Right.
Like, I have a hard time thinking what would happen if you got like a fresh Baozhong from Sammy or Floating Leaves or someone, and you just stored it for 35 years. I have a hard time seeing it turn out exactly like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you can taste hints of the roast, but I agree, it has much more of a rounder flavor, and the sweetness isn't as peaking. It's just a bit more bassy and mellow. Really delicious.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. Minerally.
I mean, one interesting thing is just we go from ripe to this, and this tea just has a lot more. It's just a different like array of flavors in it. It kind of has those like earthy garden flavors that Denny is good at describing, but it also has like a more of a brightness to it that is not always there in those aged teas.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just interesting, super clean. There's almost a wooey-esque-ness to this tea that meets that sort of vegetable patch flavor I always talk about, that I really enjoy. This is a tea that you can push really hard, so I reboil the water.
Yeah.
I'm going to go pretty hard on this steeping, and I probably could have used more leaf, honestly. And then, a tea that you probably enjoy all year. Would you say it's going to pass the mom test? Is it kind of a new tea drinker's tea?
I think it could actually, just because there's nothing kind of like you're describing in the last episode. If you serve an average newcomer like a Oolong or something like that, they're probably not going to have that exact profile in their mind.
Right.
In the same way that they wouldn't have this, but there's nothing way out there.
Right.
In the sense that you would get for ripe Pu'erh. So I think this could actually. I don't see any put off things.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly a mom or a newcomer would be surprised by the tea.
Right, exactly.
But I think it'd be a surprise in a good way.
Yeah, no, I agree. Probably, it's like you said, like novel flavor profile, unexpected, something that it's uncommon to have a flavor profile like this in any sort of food consumptive experience. But not off-putting at all. Yeah, pretty enjoyable, pretty mellow. Nice and thick.
Yeah, I mean, look how long he brewed that, and it's still. It probably could have gone even longer.
Yeah, definitely. So, and we're getting into the peak brewing time now too.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, not the biggest longevity on these teas. The Baozhong tends to be low elevation, so that's to be expected for most of these.
And you might expect a bit of these older teas with this slightly more roasted processing to have a bit more longevity than some of the ones that are more recently produced and have aged for a bit more time. Those greener teas are just going to kind of be a bit more pow and then over. These roasted teas, I mean, just as an example, if you had just a charcoal roasted Taiwanese Oolong, you can kind of push that for a while, right? You're going to lose the intensity of it, but it'll keep going. So, cheers.
Cheers. Danny, I'm looking towards you to come up with a couple SAT words here.
Exquanditious.
Is that a real word?
No, lol. Oh, Lord.
Are you ready to be responsible for kids failing the SAT?
Absolutely. Yeah. Subscribe for more SAT tips. And
Denny takes the SAT.
Oh, man. This has some very strong wooey flavor to me. Really minerally. Nice roast flavor going on. A lot of that kind of bright.
I could see it. Yeah.
Brightness is, I think, decreased a little bit. Nice residual sweetness. There's a bit more volume of flavor, I think, in this compared to a wooey, though, which has a bit sort of strong mineraliness. And then, for me at least, sometimes it's can be a flat flavor. So.
Yeah, I think this is a little sweeter, a little smoother as well, especially.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna push this one again. I think, just truth be told, I think I could have used another 2 grams of leaf on this.
Okay.
I know, and I'm kicking myself too because Jim was right before we filmed, Jim was I go hard on it, and I'm like, I I have that like poverty scarcity mentality sometimes with these old teas where I'm like, oh, I want to make sure we keep it forever. Just one little wisp of tea left, you know? It's like, no.
Yeah, instead you should be, shut up!
Yeah.
Shut up, Denny! Go big or go home!
Yeah. So, we'll let this hang out. These kind of teas. Is anything this old? I mean, is there really like a point where you kind of get over a certain age limit and it's just kind of like, you can kind of wing it. I mean, the irony is these really exquisite, fancy, older teas are some of the easiest ones to brew. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's very forgiving. I mean, I think the mistake people would make more often than not for a really high-quality old tea is going too soft.
Right.
Like, if you start using 2 grams of leaf, there's a certain point at which you're kind of misusing the old tea by, like, just not giving it enough heft to really shine.
Beautiful color. Really nice. Hasn't really gotten into that red amber color. Mm-hmm. Which I wonder... Yeah, I wonder what the storage has been like on this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
It tastes kind of dry to me, but what do I know?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't... I would say for a tea of this age, it's not quite as earthy as I would expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some of those earthier notes you're going to see in the liqueur being a bit more red. You're going to see in the leaves being almost black. And I mean, look, these are pretty dark, right? Like, but they're still brown, you know. There's still like a bit of like a brown, almost green thing going on in there. All right, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's tasty. It's kind of more in that leathery vibe here for me. Here,
I agree. Yeah, it's getting sweeter again. Not that it was ever bitter. There's more base notes that are getting a bit higher up in the profile. Mm-hmm. Really good. So, can people pick this up?
I think so.
Right?
I mean, I mean, he sends us stuff that I assume he is carrying. So, I didn't check the website beforehand, but yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Check out everlastingteas.co, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, or just use the Google.
Yep, Everlasting Teas Co.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love all the teas on here. I particularly love these guys. I also think that some tea vendors are going to have a vast quantity of tea, and you really need to be able to know what you're talking about when you're going into it. So either for someone who's like me, giving a recommendation, I can kind of just say, hey, you're going to get something really great, kind of no matter what you get. And this is one of those places at Everlasting Teas. Mm-hmm. So smaller selection, really boutique, cultivated, and great.
Yeah.
This is an interesting tea. I think this is a tea nerd's tea. Wouldn't suggest this for someone just getting started into tea. But you can still go over to Everlasting Teas to pick up stuff that you can compare this to, right? Getting your younger, fresh Baozhong is going to be a delight. So,
right. World of difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, my God. So, tdb.org.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
A lot of you have been asking about episode 400. We are working on redacting all the necessary parts, but it should be coming soon.
We'll see. We'll see if Uncle Sam will let us let us publish it. We're trying for the Freedom of Information Act. So we'll see you guys soon.
Cheerio.
Peace. Cheerio. When did this start?